Hey, welcome back to another Story Time, where I go over some of my favorite stories of my 50 years here on the planet. Now, this section of videos is about my years shooting news for WTOC. One of the worst crime sprees that we had in Savannah was responsible by a guy named Ricky Gibbons. This African-American guy who was just a notoriously bad gangbanger. And one of his parts of his gang is that you had to kill somebody in order to get into his gang. And so he was responsible for multiple homicides. I think the record was like 16 overall that these guys had killed. Didn't really kill good people. He tended to kill other rival gang people. But it still was a lot of homicides, and it was just awful. Well, I mean, the guy talked a big game, but finally they did catch him. The police caught him in this house where he was hiding under the bed. So, I mean, he had talked about like he was going to have this big shootout with the cops, and they finally came to get him and stuff. And, of course, none of that happened. And I guess guys were so stupid to think that the cops won't, let's not check under the bed. Maybe they're hiding there. I mean, but anyway, wasn't the world's deepest thinker. So anyway, he had been put in jail, and they were being prosecuted by the federal court system. It was a very serious thing. It was he and about 3 or 4 other guys that were all being prosecuted, and so they were being arraigned and all this stuff, and they had been let out on bail. So one of my assignments was to go and get video of these guys as they were leaving the courthouse and stuff. I don't remember how much the bail was, but I remember it was enormous. So I was over there and I was going to go shoot the video. Well, as is typical, you know, about putting myself in the line of fire while the reporter is sitting back in the van. Oh, you go take care of that, Tim. I don't really want to get part of those guys. And I'm like, great, you know. But I knew we needed the video. It was an important story. So I went over there to try to talk to them. I was like, hey, you know, how you guys feeling about getting out of jail and stuff? And they're like, we don't want to talk to you, man. And I'm like, well, you know, we're just trying to get a little video. You know, what's it? Do you want to tell us about your story? And so they started getting rocks. And I'm like, what's going on here? And they started throwing rocks at me. And I'm like, you know, now you would think, well, if they throw rocks at you, maybe it's time to leave, Tim. But, you know, when they start throwing rocks at you, you know, that actually becomes the story, you know, because it's assault. So I kept shooting and stuff. I was backing up, and they kept yelling at me and throwing rocks at me. In fact, one of them actually hit the lens. Now, at that time, I was the chief photographer for the station, so I had put these glass lens covers over over the camera, so I knew it wouldn't destroy that Fujinon lens that was probably worth $5 grand. It was just going to crack that thing. But you could see in slow-mo where the rock hit it and smashed and shattered this thing like this. And I thought, oh, man. And so I kept going backward. And then one of the guys, this a younger punk, he was probably, I don't know, 18 or 19, came behind me and punches me, you know, in the kidneys in the back, you know, and I'm like, oh shit, man, come on, man, I'm just trying to do my job, you know. But anyway, they got in a car and left, you know. So here I am, I've been punched, my camera's been smashed, you know, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable video. So I took it back to the station and showed our news director, who's Doug Weathers, and he's like, wow, this is wild, Tim. And I'm like, yeah, man, we gotta run this at 6. And he says, well, I think maybe we better talk to the DA first. And I'm like, well, why? So anyway, so Doug calls the DA, and they said, you can't show any of that video. He said, if you show this video of them attacking your cameraman and then throwing rocks, then they punch him, you know, there's no way we're going to be able to get any kind of a fair trial in all this city. It's going to prejudice the whole jury against them, so you can't run it. So I'm like, are you kidding me? They assault me, they bust my camera up, and we can't do anything about it. And not only that, I'm not even going to get to show the video? And they said, no, we can't do that. But the judge says, but I tell you what I will do is I will revoke all of their bonds. So sure enough, the sheriff had to go and pick them all up. And they said, I'm sorry, but y'all had an altercation today, and you went against the thing of your bonds. So I might not have, you know, had my day of, you know, restitution, but I did at least have the joy of knowing that I screwed up their last days of freedom. So anyway, but another typical thing where I put myself in a lot of danger. And where's the reporter? Back there in the van. But anyway, that was another Story Time.